the people of Uganda, and I congratulate you for turning up in big numbers and voting for the candidates and for the parties of your choice. I think this may turn out to be the most cheating-free election since 1962.
And Al Jazeera's Catherine Soy has been following the story from the capital, Kampala, as well. And she has more now on the violence against opposition supporters and the allegations of vote rigging.
He has been talking about his achievements, about the history of his leadership, and the achievement of his government on especially matters to do with health, the economy, agriculture as well. But the crux of it all was at the beginning of his statement when he talked about the election. He said that the election was largely free and fair, but he did also mention that there were attempts to rig. He talks about unknown individuals who were attempting to tamper with the biometric identification kits. He said that an audit is going to be done about that. And earlier we were at the Tali station where the Electoral Commission announced him victor, and they were asked some questions like, for example, how can the election be free and fair and transparent after all the pre-election violence we've witnessed in the last few months, opposition leaders and their supporters being violently targeted by police and the military. We have heard from Electoral Commission observers from the regional body East Africa community as well, talking about their concerns about the internet shutdown, saying that it infringes on the rights of people, on the people's rights to information. They expressed concerns about biometric kits that were failing and the delay in the delivery of voting materials in some polling stations. That is something we also witnessed on voting. The materials were late, particularly in polling stations in opposition strongholds.
Well, Jeffrey Smith is the founding director of Vanguard Africa, pro-democracy organization. He joins us now from Washington, D.C. by Skype. And I understand that you have spoken to opposition leader Bobi Wine. What has he told you about the deployment of troops that are surrounding his home, which, of course, the government has claimed is for his own safety?
Well, thank you very much for having me, Miriam. I really appreciate it. And ideally, in this circumstance, you would be speaking to Bobi Wine himself or one of his colleagues, but due to the ongoing internet shutdown in the country and the complete restriction of information that is getting out, obviously you're unable to do that. But yes, I did speak to Bobi earlier several times. He's very concerned for his life. He's very concerned for his safety and that of his wife. The military does indeed remain surrounding the home. They've raised their guns at them when they've left the front door of their home, as well pointing weapons at journalists when they have showed up. As I understand, journalists have been denied entry to his compound over the last several hours. So yes, it's a very concerning situation, and it seems to be deteriorating further, unfortunately.
Bobi Wine, as you all know, represents a younger generation of supporters who are willing to perhaps risk their lives for political change in the country. Now, is he prepared for what could follow by asking people to reject the result? They could be imprisoned or even killed. How does he feel about that?
I mean, that's a tough situation and a very tough question. I certainly cannot speak on behalf of Bobi Wine, but from what I understand, he is very disappointed with the conduct of the Electoral Commission, as are some of the observers that have been watching mostly from the outside because they've been denied accreditation. But what we do know is happening is this is a large-scale, countrywide, systematic crackdown on the political opposition. Bobi Wine is obviously the most prolific speaker on behalf of that. He's the most high profile. But this goes down even further. For instance, just this afternoon, Minister of Parliament Francis Saki, who is a close colleague of Bobi Wine, was beaten so severely that he's now in the hospital. Another member of Parliament, Betty Nambuzi, has has had her house surrounded by the military, just like Bobi Wine, for the past several days. There are also reports of at least 3 National Unity Platform candidates, Bobi Wine's party, who have been abducted. 2 of them remain missing as I'm speaking to you right now. So this is really a widespread crackdown that's happening, and very, very concerning.
You mentioned that obviously there have been these allegations of vote rigging and interference. Kampala, the capital, is known to be an opposition stronghold, but President Yoweri Museveni, to many people, he represents security, stability, perhaps continuity. He has his share of supporters in the country.
He does, of course, just like any liberation movement leader, as General Museveni was nearly 4 decades ago. He does retain support, and one of the ways in which he has been able to do that is his system of patronage in the country. When you've been in power for as long as he has, longer than most Ugandans have been alive, for 35 years now, this will be his 6th consecutive term in office, you're able to build up those networks, and you're able to pay off and to pay bribes and use corruption to stay in power. So certainly he does have his support, because the people that support him are largely benefiting from him being in office. And I think the really unfortunate outcome here is, to your point, so often people point to Uganda as being this bastion of stability in an otherwise unstable region, but that is clearly not the case. If you look at the pictures and the videos coming from Uganda, the opposition supporters who have been bloodied and beaten and killed and disappeared, the peaceful protesters who have been gunned down with impunity, I don't know how any sane person could possibly say that that represents a stable country.
But I guess what you've just described there is also the scale of the challenge facing Bobi Wine, particularly when you talk about the patronage network and the security apparatus, with Museveni so deeply entrenched in these institutions. Really, what hope is there for change? Could many lives be lost without really any result or benefit?
So many lives have been lost, to your point, over the decades due to the Museveni dictatorship. And I think one of the ways in which to assuage that, or to start changing the situation, is from Museveni's international backers, including the United States government and multilateral institutions such as the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund, to stop bankrolling this repression. The United States, for example, their budget support to Uganda in the last fiscal year was over $900 million. And that remains on course for 2020. So our hope is that with the incoming Biden administration and with our allies in the U.S. Congress, we can begin to change, in particular, the United States' relationship towards Uganda. And that would certainly include a comprehensive review of support for Uganda's military, for Uganda's security sector, which is not providing stability. It's providing instability, and it's killing Ugandan citizens, and doing so with impunity, because they haven't faced any consequences to date.
Well, thank you very much for joining